because I've been pureeing it and adding it to the water and sugar and letting it sit for like 5 to 6 days, and it's working really well. So I'm really excited to see how the red onion yeast works out, hopefully. It smells super oniony. It's gotten pretty thick, so I'm interested to see how it comes out in the dough. Because with the beet, when I made the beet bread with pistachios, I thought that maybe the color would stay with the red, but it ended up looking like this. See, this is actually, so this was the beet color, and as you can see, it looks really nice and active. Got like nice amount of bubbles up top, and yeah, it's like sparkly in there. And then it turned into this color, but it's super moist and it tastes really nice with the pistachios. And back to the onion. So I'm gonna mix this directly with the onion. I'm not gonna strain any of it out and put it directly in with my flour and my yeast water. But I'm using a whole pack. So I'm using a decent amount, and hopefully it'll work out. So I'm just gonna chop it up, then add it with my flour, salt, and my yeast water. Here's the bacon. It's nice and small, like a pretty good size. We'll see how this mixes in. We'll put that aside. And now let's scale my flour. And I'm doing a mix of bread flour as well as whole wheat, and that's 500 grams total. 350 grams of my dark flour. I'm gonna switch it up and do 150 of my white, 10 grams of salt, which is just a flat tablespoon. Put that in and just stir it about. I made a wild yeast pizza dough, and I've kept adding water and flour to this, so it's aged about like a week. So I've been saving a previous dough and putting it into the next dough, which really helps it rise. But my last dough was red beet, so color-wise that's a little different, and I wasn't sure if it would stay red, so I'm going to use my wild yeast pizza dough, just like a tablespoon, and continue feeding this. But it helps with the rising and proofing process. A tablespoon of that. A healthy tablespoon. So if you see, we've got everything in there. And now I'm going to add my wild yeast without straining it. 360 grams of it. It's almost all of it. So see, I just have this much left. If I have little remains, sometimes I'll add them together. Like I had a little bit of apple left, I had a little bit of beet left, and a little bit of pear left, and I put them together in one glass, and it's been fine. But you don't want it super, super wet. You just want it wet enough to stick together. Feel it with your hands to see if there's enough moisture. Oftentimes feels a lot more wet than it looks. And this is feeling pretty wet, so try and combine it. And if it's still too dry and it won't combine, then add more. But don't be too hasty with adding more. And at first this will be messy. It smells super, super oniony. It smells good though, you know, like a little onion mixed with bacon. You could also add cheese if you want, but I'm gonna start with this. You could always bake cheese on top of it. Too. So just try and clean the bowl. I'm going to add just a little bit of flour. Just to clean the bowl more. So I don't think I need any more wild yeast. It's pretty sticky. I'm really smelling the smokiness of the bacon though. It smells pretty good mixed with the onion. Okay, so I've made a ball, and the bowl is relatively clean. You can add just a little bit more flour if you want to clean it a little bit more. But I'm going to need a little bit more flour anyway, because I need to knead it. So you want to knead this for about 10 minutes. And then never wash your hands with all this batter, because it'll clog your sink. Always just use plain flour. Just a little bit of extra flour. You don't want it too sticky. So just roll both sides in the flour And just have some flour on this side. And then just start kneading it. So you use the meaty part of your hand, oops, this part right here, and push it away from you. So if you do want to add cheese or something else, add it at this point. It'll be easiest. Okay, just a little bit more. And then just knead it. And just add a little bit of flour at a time. You don't want to keep adding it, because there's a point where it'll still be a little bit sticky, but not sticky enough that it sticks to your hand. Okay. So knead it for about 10 minutes. Also clean your hand of the dough, because it'll just keep sticking to your hand. So when your hand's clean, you can test it better. So if I look at the dough now, it's a little bit rough. It's not completely smooth. So that's why you knead it, because you want to smooth it out. You can see the pieces of bacon in there. It smells really, really good. We're going to knead this until it's smoother. If you stretch it real, real thin, it doesn't break. And it's still breaking a little bit, as you can see. So we still need to knead it a little bit more. You see how the dough is still sticky, but it's not sticking to the surface. Like it feels sticky to the touch, but it's leaving a clean counter. So let's do a test. So I can stretch it thin without it breaking, but it feels nice. It's nice and soft. So just form it into a ball. In your bowl, put a little bit of oil, roll your dough, and now put a lid on top of it, like any lid that fits around your bowl, or plastic wrap. And then let this sit out. But just find a warm spot and put it there for about 10 hours. But the first like 2 to 4 hours, every hour you want to fold it. And the folding is going to help the bread. It's just going to add more gluten strands. In the oven I have this light, and it warms it and keeps it around a perfect like 80 degrees. And I actually leave it in there, and every hour I'm going to fold it. And I'm going to leave it in here for 10 hours. And then I put the rest of my onion into my leftover beet wild yeast, my leftover apple and pear. This is all one right here. So this is going to be an interesting bread all by itself. And then my potato I have to make soon, because this one got real active super fast because of all the starch in there. So to fold the dough, you have to do this once every hour. You take one side of it and fold it. You take the other side and fold it over that. You take the third side and the last side. And stretch it as you go. Now you turn it around on the flat side up, and you let it sit again. This is the dough now. It's been sitting all night. And then put it in the fridge for 10 hours. So I'll keep you posted on my onion, bacon, wild yeast bread. And I'm excited. I hope it's a success. But if it's not, I'll report about that too. But I'm feeling good about this. Try different things, onion, potato, beets, and see what works. So I add a little bit of lemon into the beet bread, and I have little bursts of lemon, and it tastes really good. So I think it's okay to mix wild yeast, and it adds like little bursts of flavor in there. So try it.